بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. We gather together for this very sad occasion. We've lost a dear family member, and we will, inshallah, try and remember and use this time to remember him and all of our amwat. And if we can start off the program with Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you everybody for joining in. As I said, we'll try and have this remembrance every week for Marhum Mukhtar. What came as a big shock, obviously, to the whole family, and everybody is still in mourning and still in that deep state of shock after what happened. We just have a brief program with some Quran and then some dua and recitations and a lecture by Sheikh Shafiq. And while we remember Marhum Mukhtar and all of our dear loved ones that have passed away, it's also a good opportunity for us ourselves to remember death, as the Ummah and the Prophet ﷺ often remind us and encourage us to remember death as in our daily lives. So we'll be starting off with a short surah, followed by Surah Yasin, Surah Al-Mulk, Hadith Al-Kisa, recitation of Marthia, and then a lecture by Sheikh Shafiq, and then some ziyarah and dua at the end. So starting off, if I could pass over to Mikhail, who'll be reciting a short surah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sorry that you died, but we'll still have you in our hearts, and up in the sky you will be watching us. There's everything you can think of in heaven. You'll go to a very nice place. Goodbye.
Thank you for that message, Mikhail. A very beautiful recitation and message for Mukhtar. If you would like to recite anything in any of these nights, any of each week or on these Sunday evenings, please do let myself know or let one of the family members know, whether it's the Sheikh or Zahra here in Leicester. Just pass a message on, or if you'd like to say a few words about Mukhtar himself, please do as well. So following on from that, we're going to have recitation of Surah Yasin by Haidar. Haidar, would you like to go ahead?
صلوات اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله سيدنا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على الصراط المستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم. لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون. لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون. إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون. وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون. وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما كتبوا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءه المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث وقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون. قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون. قالوا ربنا يعلم أنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين. قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم. قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون. وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون. أتخذ من دونه آلهة أن يردن الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون. إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين. إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون. قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قوما يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين. وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون. يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون. ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون. وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون. وآية لهم الأرض الميتة وأحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون. وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون. والشمس تجري إلى مستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم. لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون. وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولهم يوقظون إلا رحمة منا ومتاع إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديهم وما خلفكم لعلهم ترحمون. وما تأتيهم من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا ونطعم من لو يشاء الله وطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون المتى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون. فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينصلون. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون. إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. واليوم لا تظلم نفسا شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة يوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متقون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قول من رب رحيم وامتاز اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أحد إليكم يا بني آدم إلا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وعن اعبدون هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلا تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون أسلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهدنا رجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لمسخنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا صراط فأنا يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخنا على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسهم في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي لها إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أن إنسانا أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما لبتنا أيدينا وأنعامنا فهم لها مالكون وظللنا لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند مهرضون ولا يحزنك قولهم إن يعلموا ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقنا من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين واضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلق قال بل يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييه الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عظيم الذي جعل لكم من الشجرة الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له قل فيكون وسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العظيم صلوات
اللهم صل على Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ahsantum. Thank you, Haida, for the lovely recitation. As the Sheikh has been quite open with since it happened in his majalis that he did in the following nights, unfortunately Mukhtar did take his own life, and the Sheikh has been trying to push more and more about raising awareness of mental health issues in our community, in wherever your community might be around the world. And one of the things that Shabiha Zainab, Mukhtar's wife, and family in the group had started up was a fundraising initiative to raise some money for awareness of these mental health issues, suicide prevention, and things like that. So on the YouTube the stream at the moment, on the comments, you can find a link there for the Just Giving page if you'd like to donate to that good cause, something that often gets overlooked, especially in our community, in our around the world. And it's something that really needs to be worked on, because especially in the current situation with all the lockdowns around the world, people are suffering and we need to help them as much as we can. Now we're just going to have a recitation of Surah Al-Mulk by Sister Zahra. If you could please welcome her with the salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم من أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه يهدى أمن يمشي صويا على صراط مستقيم قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Thank you, Dara, for wonderful recitation of Surah Al-Mukhtar. So as mentioned, after Hadith Kisa, there will be a short marfiya by Hamid, and then there will be a talk by a few words about Mukhtar by his brother-in-law Ghulam, before a lecture by Sheikh Shafiq. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرج بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتني بالكساء اليماني فغطني به فأتيت بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلأله كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدة السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع عمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين قال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد أخي وابن عمي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال وعليك السلام يا أخي ووصي وخليفتي وصاحب حوضي صاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتا يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفاء الكساء وأومى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، واذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. قال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ قال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل: يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم السادسة؟ فقال الله: نعم، قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: عليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم، قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. قال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال علي عليه السلام لأبي: يا رسول الله، أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلا أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي: يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله: يا علي، والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه، ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه، ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. قال علي عليه السلام: إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا، وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. If I could please welcome Hamid with a recitation for us. صلى على محمد وآل محمد.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. नोके सीना के ऊपर कहता था फर्क सरवर, घर लुट गया है मेरा, मारा गया बिरादर, अम्मा 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 गरीब हूँ मैं, अम्मा गरीब हूँ मैं, اما غریب ہوں میں، اصغر کے خون سے میں نے دیکھو وضو کیا ہے، اس امتحان میں اس نے بھی سرخرو کیا ہے، اس کی لحد بنا کر اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں کس قدر ہوں پیاسا، اما بتاؤں کیوں کر، سوکھا گلا تھا اتنا چلتا نہیں تھا خنجر، قبضے میں رکھ کے کوثر، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں کیسا باپ تھا جو اے دور امتحانی روتی رہی سکینہ میں دے سکا نہ پانی، آئے یقین کیوں کر اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، برچھی جواں پسر کے سینے میں نے کھینچی، انصار و اقربا کی قاسم کی لاش دیکھی، ابن امیر ہو کر اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، گھوڑوں کے دوڑنے سے پامال ہو چکا ہوں، کیا اب بھی میں وہی ہوں، حیراں ہوں سوچتا ہوں، ناکا بنے پیمبر، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، آپ آ گئی ہیں اما، یاد آ رہا ہے بچپن، وہ ساتھ ساتھ چلنا اور آپ نے گھر کا آنگن اب خاک کا ہے بستر، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، دل غم سے چاک بھی ہے، زخموں میں خاک بھی ہے، اڑتی ہوئی نظر میں خیموں کی راکھ بھی ہے، زینب کا ہے کھلا سر، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، اما غریب ہوں میں، ریحان پھٹ نہ جائے اہل عزا کا سینہ، بس روک لے یہیں پر शबीर का ये नौहा सब रो रहे हैं सुनकर, अम्मा गरीब हूँ मैं, अम्मा गरीब हूँ मैं, अम्मा गरीब हूँ मैं। सूरतुल मुबारकतुल फातिहा।
Thank you so much for the recitation. We understand that in these days afterwards, it's very difficult for anybody to talk about Mukhtar who knew him. Myself personally, I didn't know him very well, but I knew obviously Sheikh Shafiq really well. But for those that did know him and spent time with him, and for the new family that he'd joined in Leicester and taking part of, his brother-in-law Ghulam has kindly offered, and I know this must be really difficult, but he's offered to say a few words about Mukhtar for us to let us know a bit more about his personality. So, Brother Ghulam, assalamu alaikum, please go for it.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just wanted to express a few words about Mukhtar. I don't want to take up too much time, but I haven't prepared anything because I just wanted it to be off the top of my head, so it felt natural. But I remember when I first had a serious conversation with him, it was at this place called Steak and Lounge, and it was basically the Big Brother talk, if you will. And well, not for me. I mean, I'm little, so it's more like the little brother talk. But it wasn't anything of the sort that I would like. You know, if you mess with my sister, I'll beat you up or anything. It wasn't that. It's just me saying welcome to the family. That's what it was. And I remember we bonded so much, and I was telling him about our family. He was telling me about his, and it felt right. It was beautiful. But I remember on the way here, my sister asked me to she asked me what's my best memory with him, or like my most pleasant, and I told her that there isn't a single memory that I could pick, mainly because every memory I had with him was all pleasant, all funny. They were every moment I spent with him, it was just amazing, because usually whenever I meet people, I'm really nervous. I am. Like, it's hard for me to talk to people I haven't met before. But when I first met him, I didn't feel nervous. I literally just felt comfortable. And sorry. Yeah, he was a pleasure to work with as well. I mean, we were always talking, laughing, making jokes. Like, it was always pleasant. Unless we were at work and we were complaining about the actual work. So, but he had a really beautiful soul, and I feel like he's looking down this right now, smiling. So yeah, thank you for listening. Salawat.
Thank you, Ghulam. May you be given patience, you and your family. The pain is quite clear there, and thank you, Ghulam, sorry, my microphone's working, for sharing those words. That must have been very difficult, but it just gives a bit of a light into this wonderful personality that we all have heard so much about. And inshallah, over the coming weeks, if anybody else wants to contribute in that similar way, please just let us know. So thank you, Ghulam. And we will now like to hear from Sheikh Shafiq, Marhum Mukhtar's father, If you could please welcome him with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم وفرقانه المجيد وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كل نفس ذائقة الموت ثم إلينا ترجعون اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Respected sisters and brothers, my family members, dear friends, sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just want to first of all appreciate and thank my dear brothers Ali Dharamshi and Munir and Sister Zahra for arranging and coordinating and making sure this is all happening, and of course the permission from Shabia Zainab and her family as well. Please be assured that I really immensely miss you. We were getting together every day from the time that he died and up until the time we got the body. We gave the ghusl, we buried him, and that was also my farewell. And inshallah, bi-idhnillah, pending any other issues, tomorrow is the day that I'm expecting to leave Europe and go back to Canada, to my parents, to the rest of my family, to Mukhtar's siblings, and I do request your du'as. I thought that after all these days, 8 days have passed since Mukhtar died. I thought things might get easier. I thought that, they always say time heals all wounds, and inshallah, I'm sure it will. But I think that each day, some other memory, something different comes to mind and comes into my head, and I'm just remembering him. And I make it a point to talk to him and just ask him how he is doing, inshallah. And I hope he is able to answer wherever he is, inshallah. And with the mercy of Allah and the infinite grace of Allah, the fact that we all will have to go one day and we'll all be together. Just the other day, I was thinking, and I was talking to some of my uncles and aunts, that my grandparents, some of whom he met and some of whom he didn't have the pleasure and honor of meeting, are inshallah going to be probably taking care of him, and they'll probably share some of their stories with Mukhtar as well when I was younger and with them. Okay. I also want to appreciate these weekly gatherings that we're going to do until his Arba'in, until his Chahlam Sardi, his 40th. And as I said, I really appreciate the Mu'mineen taking part. I am in receipt of all your messages. And one of the things that I wanted to share today is that the fact that Islam is a community of, is a religion of community. It is a madhab, it is a way of life, it is a religion that is reminding us that we are all together, and it's reminding us to make sure that we consider everyone else as part of our family. And the entire ummah should be considered as one family. While I know that the family members and our dear friends have been more than supportive, mashallah, the entire ummah is our family. So if anybody is suffering anywhere else, we must have our heart and our efforts for them as well. And this passing away of Mukhtar has been an interesting eye-opener for me as well. It has been it has given me a chance to reflect on a number of things that perhaps I may have myself taken for granted. When we look at how Islam reminds us to be together and to care about each other, I look at something as simple as the rules or the encouragement that Islam has got of Salatul Jama'at. We are recommended to recite Salat in Jama'at, even if it is in your own home, my sisters, my brothers. Even if you're reciting Salat in your own home, and whether it is 2 people or more people, and one person was leading, one person was following, the thawab of that multiplies. The thawab is 70 times greater if there's even one other person joining in Jamaat. So if there's 2 people, You get the thawab of 70 times, of each rakat. If there's 3 people, the angels are told to multiply that by another 70, not add 70, multiply it by 70. And if another person comes into the Jamaat and recites, and this is even applicable in the family, in the community, and what have you. And people often say that, well, right now we are Marhum, we are, our hands are tied because of the pandemic, the COVID, and this coronavirus. We cannot do Jamaat. But remember one thing, in your own homes, you can still do it. And one of the beauties of Islam is that the condition for the one who is leading Salatul Jamaat is not that they have to be ma'asum. They should at least know their basic masail, know their basic wajibat, at least have the proper recitation, tilawat, and inshallah, this is something we can all practice and we can all try. And then, there are mashallah lots of tapes on the internet that can actually let you listen to and inshallah improve our salat. And since many of us are home, let us take this time to better ourselves. Let us take this time to maximize our spiritual reconnection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the internet, there is so much available to help us improve our recitation. Make sure we have the differences between qaf and kaf, the differences between alif and ain, the differences between Saad and Seen. So this is a time we can relate, reflect and better ourselves, better our recitation, better our concentration in the salat. So the emphasis is on Jamaat often, and of course we can't do it now. We cannot do Jummah right now. This has been a very painful thing for all of us, and I'm sure that all of you will appreciate that. But nonetheless, I wanted to just talk about and highlight the importance of Jamaat. That one time a blind man went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm blind, I cannot see, and I cannot always go to the masjid because nobody is there to take me, and because I can't see, I don't know how to get there, so nobody can take me sometimes when it's daytime working hours, so I miss Jamaat. And so that's, he was just basically saying that to Rasulullah, that is that okay if I don't attend? Rasulullah tells him that tie a rope from the masjid to your house and hold the rope and follow it along so that you don't miss out on the thawab, the fadail, the benefits of Salatul Jamaat. You don't miss out. And Imam Zain al-Abidin has been quoted as saying that if people knew the thawab of Jamaat prayers, if people knew the thawab, then inshallah when we re-establish this after the pandemic is eased, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, Imam says that if people knew the thawab and the fadail, they would cross a pond with crocodiles in it, with man-eating creatures in it. They would cross that pond in order to get to the thawab of the Salatul Jamaat. So we see that there's so much emphasis on that because the community is a community. And what I was saying earlier on is that the community has shared in this grief with us that has helped our family immensely. It has been of great benefit. And one of the things that I was just speaking to my dear daughter Shabia Zainab about was that how we are, of course, alhamdulillah, overwhelmed with phone calls, with messages. And I've mentioned that before, so I don't want to repeat anything that I have said. But one of the things that we spoke about is that we want to try and make sure that we attend to the moment, because this grief is not just something that we as the immediate family or the blood family have felt. I saw the tears in the eyes of Hamid Bhai, of Munir, of Zahra, and of all of you. I can see and I can feel the tears. And I know that this is not just my grief, it's the community's grief. And one of the things that we must be careful, and I'm addressing to my family as well, is that, when Mu'mineen call us, when our friends call us, when family calls us, when even strangers call us, please be respectful and polite with them. Do not neglect their phone calls. Do not just become, feel that, oh, this is just mine. I don't have time to talk. I don't want to. I'm overwhelmed. This is not the right akhlaq to do, inshallah. I mean, of course, not all times can be times that we can speak, not all times, but at the same time, as much as possible, attend and appreciate the people because they care, they are calling. We must not be arrogant and say that, oh, this is just my grief. I'm the only one who's upset about Mukhtar. I'm the only one who's upset about this. A lot of people will have things to share. They may have things in their heart, and we must be there for them also. It was after I had given the lecture on the night that we had buried Mukhtar, that a number of people, Allahu Akbar, came forward and shared their stories with me. Even at that difficult moment, I tried to remind myself that this is a grief we all share. And a lot of things came out of the closet that actually surprised me and even, I can say, shocked me. How many people came and says, my family member also died because of them taking their own life. My family member, my friend, somebody I knew, somebody I cared about, somebody who was with me, somebody who was in my family, also took their own life because they had an illness that nobody was there to help them for. Nobody. And they don't know what to do, because sometimes when you have certain illnesses, and I've repeatedly said this, not all illnesses can be seen, not they can be appreciated. Ghulam, I appreciated your words. You said that your memories are all pleasant with Mukhtar. May Allah bless you. May Allah bless your family, Shabab, and everybody. But Asad Ali and Zahir and all of them at your family, and my dear daughters, Samana and Fatima and Inaya and Noor Zahra. May Allah bless them all. And they were telling me little things about Mukhtar, and I was sharing different stories, and at the same time, we could not have imagined that there was something else going on inside that was not coming out for whatever reason, however he was able to do it. And even we, living with him, bringing him up until he was, we saw the actual diagnosis, we were able to appreciate and at least understand what is happening. It was difficult for us to know that these are not things that were visible, but sometimes when there would be something happening and a completely different Mukhtar would come in front of us, it was then that we realized that, this is not something that is controllable necessarily. And this is why I keep reminding myself, and I remind my friends, and I remind the rest of the family and the community as a whole, that if somebody does act strange, if somebody does act different, if somebody does act out of the ordinary, let us try to be understanding and compassionate and find out that, is this a sign perhaps of something that may be challenging them, battling them inside? And if it wasn't not for the fact that we are community, it is not for the fact that Islam is a jama'at religion, a religion of congregation. Salatul Jum'ah is there, which is also talking about jama'at. Salatul Jamaat is there, Salatul Eid is there, the Eidain Salats are there. That means the community comes together. Why did Islam put that there? Why did Islam tell us to get together every day for Jamaat prayers? But you see, we have a small congregation there usually, right? Even in Muslim countries, even when there's no pandemic. Jummah, people from all over come. So you can have, 5 or 6 or 7 Jamaat prayers. Jamaat can be done, if you go to many of the harams, you'll see some people praying Jamaat here, some people praying Jamaat there, some people praying Jamaat in this corner, some people praying Jamaat congregation. But when it comes to Jum'ah, no, you can only have one Jum'ah in a certain vicinity. Why? Because Allah Ta'ala wants us to get together. And you see the 2 Eid Salats in the year where people come from far and wide. And they, sometimes people you have not seen for the whole year will be there for Salatul Eid, whether the Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Adha. Why did Allah tell us? Just so that we can get together, just so the numbers are there? Is this because there's many people there? Or does Allah want us to remember that when you meet somebody for Jamaat, when you meet somebody at Jum'ah, ask them how they're doing. Ask if everything is okay. Make sure we try to understand that, is there something that we might be able to do for them? Is there something we might be able to help them with? Some people, you'll be surprised to know, even in the Western countries, even in our own country of Canada, in my own city, there have been times that people have come and they've traveled by bus to come to Jummah. They have traveled, walked significant distances. And in some cases, many of them have actually been hungry. And until you go and investigate and say, oh, what did you have for lunch? Are you okay? And then you find out slowly that perhaps they may not have had lunch. Perhaps they could not have had breakfast. Perhaps they have other challenges. And that is one of the important and imperative reasons for Islam to put this insistence on get together and pray, get together. They say in English, the family that prays together stays together. How beautifully that is there. Then, congregation and Jamaat is emphasized, and that is a result of Islam's encouragement to teach and say, okay, what is it? What can we do for each other? And perhaps, and thoughts come into all of our minds that perhaps if we would have done this, this would not have happened. If we would have done it this way, that would not have happened. This is going to be something that all of us will perhaps go through. I'm talking about in our family especially. And obviously this is not something that we want to create any guilt for, because of course Mukhtar had just moved here to the United Kingdom. He had his own things in mind. I ended up meeting some of his potential or about to start employers, would-be employers. I talked to those whom he was working with. And alhamdulillah, beautiful memories are there. And I'm thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we all have beautiful memories. And it is something that inshallah will keep us going. But now the next step is coming, the next stage is coming. And we all have a duty to help each other. And it's not just, as I keep emphasizing, it's not just a matter that because it's Mukhtar now that we are getting more involved. This is something that we have been doing for a number of years. And as I mentioned with my interfaith work as well, it is now the community and those who are near and dear to us who are feeling like we need to take it to another level, to try and help somebody else who might have fallen or might be falling or might go towards the same trap that Mukhtar was in, and perhaps we can get some help. Inshallah, I will be, upon my return to Canada, be contacting our health officials and see if we can get more attention and more funding from the government for mental health illnesses, because there are so many different kinds of mental health issues, and many of them do lead people to be suicidal, to be wanting to take their own lives. Some actually succeed, as you see in this case. Some may not, but the hurt is there. And this is something, inshallah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to do. And once again, I want to just appreciate every one of you who have called us, who have messaged us, who have communicated with us, who have put messages on the YouTube or on the Zoom or on the wherever you have kept messages, wherever you put. And I will endeavor, inshallah. This is inshallah bi'idhnillah. My promise to you, as long as I'm alive, that I will try and reach out to anybody who has communicated with me in any way, and inshallah bi'idhnillah, I will give you my personal appreciation and thanks. If Allah gives me the ability and the life, this is one of the things that I've wanted to thank you all for. Mukhtar was not just my son or my brother, he was also your son and your brother. And I've said many times also, there are many like Mukhtar who are crying out, who are in need of help. And if it wasn't for your communications to me, even I would not have known that. And perhaps if it was not for Mukhtar leaving this world, I would not have been able to appreciate the actual pain that many of you are feeling and many of you are going through. When Mukhtar was having his milad for the marriage, he had asked me to do the majlis, the milad majlis, and to remember in the Masahib Hazrat Abbas. Imagine he had a certain connection. I was just talking to Shabia Zainab. I was just talking to Shabia Zainab before I came to the program today. And she was saying that, yeah, he used to mention to her also of his love and admiration for Hazrat Abbas. And imagine for a moment that was also something that when he told me, I realized it at that time, that Pops, please pray about Hazrat Abbas and the Masahib. And I would have thought that since you're young, you would have perhaps remembered Ali Akbar. But perhaps it was what was the role that Hazrat Abbas had in keeping everything and everybody protected and safe. And perhaps it was that admiration that Mukhtar had, because I had actually named him Mukhtar for the reason that I wanted him to be one of the avengers of with Imam Sahib al-Amr. And Hazrat Mukhtar ibn Abu Ubaid al-Thaqafi took revenge on the killers of Abu Abdullah. So I was hoping that our Mukhtar would have also done something for Imam Zamana that would have made the Imam proud of him, inshallah. But he had that love for Hazrat Abbas, and all I wanted to say, even if I say nothing else in the Masahib, even if I say nothing else, and I was just to say one thing, that would be enough for today's majlis. And that one thing is that the children on the day up until the day of Ashura, from the time the water was cut off till the day of Ashura, they were always crying, Al-Atash, Al-Atash, we are thirsty, we are thirsty. And they would often look towards Hazrat Abbas, and Hazrat Hazrat Abbas finally on that day of Ashura, after everybody else was shaheed, went to Imam Hussein and told Abba Abdullah alayhi salam that I will not go to the battlefield, I will not fight. Just allow me to bring water for the children. So up until that time, they were saying Al-Atash. When the murder of Hazrat Abbas took place, when Hazrat Abbas was murdered and was no longer around, we find the narrators, the Tariq, the Muarrikhin, the writers of history mentioning that not one child after the murder of Hazrat Abbas ever said Al-Atash, whether they were going from Karbala to Kufa, Kufa to Sham. Only while Hazrat Abbas was alive, they were saying Al-Atash. Why? Because they knew that if anybody was able to bring water, it would be none other than Abbas Alamdar. If he is not there, then our cries will be in vain. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. All I accept this ibadat from us. Give the thawab of the majlis to all the marhumin, including Mukhtar, all the marhumin in our family and friends, those who have left this dunya, grant them maghfirat. Ya Allah, when we leave this world, protect us from the difficulties of maut, the difficulties in the qabr, the difficulties on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Ya Allah, those who are ill, grant them shifa kamila from their illnesses, whether those illnesses are zahiri illnesses or batini illnesses, Ya Allah, whether they are mental illnesses or whether they are physical illnesses, Ya Allah, grant them shifa kamila. Oh Allah, protect our marhumin. Oh Allah, protect our ulama and the maraja. Oh Allah, protect our families, our children, our elders, all of them. Ya Allah, keep them under your divine shade, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you to return our Mullah Imam al-Hujjah. Make us amongst the Ashab and the Ansar of the Imam. Let us see Zamana al-Dhuhur with our own eyes. Let us serve the Imam till the end of our lives. And before we conclude, if I could request the Mu'mineen, all of you who are watching, who are viewing, who are with us online and virtually, who are there in spirit, even those who are not able to attend and they still have their thoughts and wishes, all of us together recite 5 times together, Amma Yujibul, for those who are ill, for Allah Ta'ala to give them shifa, for our hajat to be accepted, for the hifazat of Imam al-Zamana, and the safety and the security of the Mu'mineen in Pakistan, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Kashmir, in Palestine, in Syria, in Nigeria, in Yemen, in Bahrain, in Venezuela, in Cuba, in so many places people are suffering in Iran under the sanctions. For all of them, Ya Allah, we are reciting together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعا ويكشف السوء 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 اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله اللهم اشف كل مريض. If we're going to say 1 time Surah Fatiha, 3 times Surah Tawheed, for all the marhumin in our family, our friends, our community, including Mukhtar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Jazakallah khair. May Allah protect all of you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Jazakallah khair.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا حسن المصطفى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين محمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والهجة ابن الحسن. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان. أرجو الله تعالى فرجك وسخوه وظهوره. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم أكل بليك وجتمني الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة ولي وحافظا وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه وزكاته ومتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كي أعوذ يا أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كي يا أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كي يا أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
اللهم صل على Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ahsant, Sheikh, and young children for these lovely recitations. And Sheikh, that again, that must have been extremely difficult, and we all feel this pain, but no more than obviously the parents of Mukhtar and all of us would like to be there to help you and console you in this difficult time. So we're all with you. We're all praying for you. I don't think there's a more than an hour or so that goes by without us thinking about you and Mukhtar and the family. So please take care of yourselves, and if everybody can also, whenever you get a chance, we're going to try and do this every week, inshallah, as the Sheikh mentioned to us, Arba'een. But if there's a day in the week where you just remember Mukhtar or the Sheikh or any of the family, if you can remember him with a Surah Fatiha and on all your Amwat and the Marhumin as well, that would be great. Thank you very much. And وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. الفاتحة مع الصلوات.